The silence between stars is not an emptiness but a presence, a slow, infinite breath drawn by the universe itself. In that vastness, there is no sound, no wind, no movement that carries intent. Yet somehow we feel it. When you close your eyes and imagine space, what you summon is not nothingness, but a deep, velvety stillness that holds everything in quiet suspension. It is a silence so complete that it feels alive, like the pause between heartbeats that makes life audible. We are drawn to it not because we understand it, but because we sense something ancient and tender hidden inside it, a kind of peace that has never known interruption. The stars themselves seem to pulse gently against this darkness, each one a heartbeat too far away to ever reach. Between them lies distance beyond language, a gulf so immense that light itself must journey for billions of years just to announce its existence. And yet, that faint shimmer of light, those soft, trembling photons that touch our retinas tonight, began their voyage long before we existed to receive them. Every glimmer is a relic of patience, the universe's oldest gesture of endurance. In this silence, we realize that the cosmos does not rush. It has no need to arrive. It simply unfolds, forever and without expectation. Humanity is loud by comparison. We fill our days with motion, with sound, with the constant struggle to be known. But when night comes and the world grows still, something within us leans toward the void as if answering a forgotten call. There is comfort in the idea that beyond our noise lies a calm that has been waiting since time began. The silence between stars does not demand our presence, it allows it. It does not ask questions, it holds them, gently, like a parent holding a child too curious for sleep. Science tells us that space is not truly silent. There are cosmic microwaves left over from creation, the ghostly hum of radiation echoing through the void. Yet to the human ear, these sounds are inaudible, swallowed by distance and time. What we experience instead is the illusion of perfect stillness. But illusions, too, can hold truth. Perhaps the quiet we feel when we look into the sky is not the absence of sound but the echo of our own longing reflected back to us. In silence, we find not a void, but a mirror. This silence has seen everything. It watched the first atoms form, the first stars ignite, the first planets breathe. It has held supernovas in its arms and cradled the ashes of galaxies long gone. Every atom of our bodies was once a whisper in that same dark sea, waiting for its chance to shine. We come from the silence and one day we will return to it, not as a punishment, but as a reunion. The stillness that surrounds the stars is the same stillness that sleeps within ourselves. When we look at the night sky, we are not gazing outward. We are gazing inward, into the infinite quiet that underlies all existence. The loneliness of space is not cruel. It is gentle, patient, eternal. It waits not for us, but with us. Every breath we take beneath the stars is an echo of that waiting, a reminder that even in our smallest, most fleeting moments, we are part of something vast, calm, and profoundly awake. In the silence between stars, we discover the most faithful companion we will ever know, the quiet that has never left us and never will.
Before there were stars, before time found a rhythm or matter learned its name, there was nothing, or at least what we have come to call nothing. Yet even that word trembles beneath its own weight. Nothingness was never truly empty. It was pregnant with potential, humming softly with the possibility of everything that would one day exist. In that silent prelude to being, there were no colors, no shapes, no thoughts, only the restless stillness from which creation would bloom. The universe, in its most mysterious form, began not with chaos, but with a waiting calm, an infinite pause before the first breath. Physicists tell us that what we call nothing is an illusion, that even the void is alive with invisible energy. The quantum vacuum, a field of infinite possibility, flickers with particles that appear and vanish faster than thought. This ghostly dance of existence and disappearance suggests that emptiness itself is fertile, a canvas perpetually painting and erasing its own image. The birth of space-time, they say, may have been nothing more than a fluctuation within this quantum sea, a ripple in an otherwise perfect stillness. From this ripple came expansion, energy, and the soft unfolding of reality as we know it. Imagine that moment, the instant before light. No up or down, no distance to measure, no witness to record the change. And yet, in that immeasurable pause, the seed of everything was planted. The laws of physics, the structure of atoms, the fabric of gravity, all of it crystallized in an act of unimaginable simplicity. The universe did not explode into chaos. It expanded into grace. The first light did not shatter silence. It arose from it, like a sigh too ancient to recall its source. The void gave birth not by force, but by release. It let go of its stillness, and in doing so, became infinite. This paradox, the fullness of nothing, has always haunted human thought. Ancient mystics and modern scientists have both circled the same question. How can something emerge from nothing? Perhaps the answer lies in recognizing that the void was never nothing at all, but a quiet mind before awakening. In this sense, creation was not an event, but a realization. Space did not begin somewhere. It began everywhere all at once, an eternal unfolding without origin or edge. The Big Bang, then, is not a sound, but a silence stretching itself into song. As matter began to coalesce, as hydrogen formed and gravity began its slow work, the void remained, the silent partner in every act of creation. It surrounded each particle with patience, gave each star a stage on which to burn, each planet a backdrop to drift against. Without the void, light would have no meaning, for it is darkness that allows illumination to be seen. The void does not compete with existence. It defines it. Every photon owes its beauty to the emptiness it crosses, every heartbeat its echo to the silence around it. We often imagine the universe as expanding into space, as though space were a room waiting to be filled. But in truth, space itself expands. The void is not an absence that light travels through. It is the very fabric that stretches and breathes as the universe grows. It is alive in a way that defies our senses, silent, invisible, yet immeasurably creative. Within its depths, time was born. Within its emptiness, possibility found direction. The nothingness before creation was, perhaps, the most complete form of being there has ever been. And so, when we gaze into the dark between galaxies, we are not looking into the past, but into the origin of all things. That same emptiness that once waited for light still waits now, holding every star like a thought in suspension. The birth of emptiness was not the beginning of space. It was the beginning of patience. For billions of years, it has watched galaxies bloom and fade, comets wander, planets ignite, and still it remains unchanged. It neither rushes nor resists. It simply is. Maybe that is why the void feels familiar. Somewhere deep within us, beneath the noise of thought and the flutter of breath, lies the same stillness. The atoms of our bodies were shaped by that first waiting silence, the same quantum hum that whispered the universe into being. We are made of that emptiness, wrapped in it, sustained by it. The birth of emptiness was not an event long past. It is an ongoing truth. Every moment that arises, every idea, every flicker of consciousness is another echo of that first quiet expansion. The universe continues to unfold, and the void, as always, waits, patient, unhurried, infinite, and full. Galaxies drift like luminous islands scattered across a dark and boundless ocean. Between them stretches a distance, so immense that words collapse under its weight. In the great map of the universe, every spiral of light, every glimmering cluster, is separated from its neighbor by millions, sometimes billions, of light years. These gulfs of space are not mere gaps. They are the architecture of isolation itself. The structure of the cosmos is built not from stars, but from the emptiness that holds them apart. What binds the universe together is also what keeps everything alone. When astronomers look deep into the night, they see the cosmic web, a vast lattice of galaxies and dark matter. It is a grand pattern of filaments and voids, stretching beyond comprehension, connecting distant realms with invisible threads of gravity. The glowing clusters form nodes of existence, while in between them lie enormous expanses where there is almost nothing at all. regions so empty that entire galaxies could disappear inside them without trace. This is the architecture of cosmic solitude, a structure born not from closeness, but from distance. Gravity sculpts both connection and separation with the same patient hand. In this web of being, gravity is the silent artist. It pulls, it shapes, it balances the tension between chaos and cohesion. Every star we see is bound to others by its subtle influence. Yet that same force ensures no two systems ever truly touch. It is a paradox written into the design of reality. Everything is held together by a force that guarantees eternal distance. The universe, it seems, is fluent in contradiction. Connection is achieved only through the preservation of space between things. The galaxies cannot embrace, yet they orbit one another in a timeless dance, bound by invisible lines of desire that never culminate in contact. The scale of this loneliness defies imagination. Light, the fastest thing we know, takes eons to bridge the distance between clusters. If one could stand on a planet at the edge of a faraway galaxy and gaze outward, the nearest neighboring system would appear as a faint, trembling smudge, so remote that its light began its journey long before the Earth was born. This is not an emptiness that repels, but one that enfolds everything within it. Space does not separate galaxies as walls separate rooms. It stretches like a deep, cosmic breath, allowing each point of light to exist in peaceful solitude. And yet, within this isolation lies harmony. The structure of the universe mirrors the quiet order of thought. Just as neurons in the brain connect through vast networks, firing across microscopic distances, galaxies too form a kind of cosmic mind, a pattern of presence and absence that defines meaning. Between each luminous node lies the darkness that makes it visible, just as silence gives shape to music. Without the void, the stars would not shine. Without distance, the universe could not exist. The architecture of isolation is the universe's most beautiful paradox. Its emptiness is the source of its structure. The cosmic web is both chaotic and serene. Matter flows along its filaments like rivers of starlight, gathering in knots where gravity is strongest. These knots become galaxies, each one a cradle of suns and planets, of potential and silence. Between them, the dark matter hums unseen, shaping reality without ever revealing its face. This invisible substance accounts for most of the universe's mass, and yet it does not shine, reflect, or speak. It is the invisible backbone of everything, the quiet architect of the cosmic cathedral. What we call isolation may, in truth, be the frame that holds existence upright. Human beings are drawn to patterns because they promise meaning. When we look at the universe and see this grand structure, we cannot help but feel the echo of something familiar. We recognize the loneliness of galaxies because we, too, are islands in a vast emotional sea. We orbit others through gravity of our own love, memory, connection, but never fully merge. Our lives, like stars, burn within personal spaces of solitude, radiant and separate. Perhaps this is not a flaw of creation, but its essence. The space between us gives our light room to shine. The architecture of isolation is not a tragedy. It is a design that allows beauty to unfold. The distances between galaxies create a rhythm, a balance between silence and sound, stillness and motion. Without these distances, there would be no order, no perspective, no sense of wonder. The universe's loneliness is its stability, the quiet heartbeat that keeps everything from collapsing into chaos. And though we may feel small within it, that same design lives within us, the same ratios of emptiness and presence, the same need for quiet space to hold our own existence in balance. In the end, the universe teaches us something profound through its structure. Connection does not require proximity. The galaxies are united by gravity, by invisible intention, by the subtle coherence of a shared origin. Across impossible distances, they move together, harmonized by forces that never sleep. The architecture of isolation, then, is not cold or cruel. It is patient, deliberate, and deeply wise. It reminds us that even the vastest distances, we are still part of the same unfolding design, each of us a point of light in the same dark web, shining quietly, alone, and yet never truly apart. The universe is immense, radiant, and ancient, but for all its brilliance, it rarely speaks. It hums quietly, endlessly, in frequencies our hearts can almost feel, but never fully hear. The silence of the cosmos is not absence, it is indifference. Stars burn without witness, galaxies drift without story, and entire worlds may rise and fall without a single sound escaping their isolation. The cosmos exists with a patience beyond comprehension, creating, collapsing, expanding, yet never explaining. It offers beauty without interpretation, patterns without promises. Its grandeur does not bend to our need for meaning. It simply is. When we first pointed our instruments toward the heavens, we expected to find music. We imagined the universe as a symphony of purpose, each celestial body a note in some divine composition. Instead, what we found was a faint background hum, the cosmic microwave background radiation, the leftover echo of the Big Bang. It is not a melody, but a whisper, a residue, a nearly uniform blanket of microwaves spread across the sky, ancient and impartial. Every time we tune into that frequency, we are listening to the universe's one enduring sentence: I was here. Beyond that, there is no response, no conversation, only the soft persistence of silence layered over eternity. In its quietness, the universe becomes a teacher of humility. The galaxies do not call out to us. They have no message to deliver. The stars do not shine for our eyes. Their light began long before we learned to see. Every photon that reaches Earth has traveled for millions or billions of years through emptiness, unobserved, uncelebrated, until, by coincidence, it touches our world. To the cosmos, this meeting is inconsequential. To us, it is everything. We build observatories on mountaintops, send probes into the dark, and craft equations to understand forces that will never know we exist. Yet even in this one-sided conversation, we persist, compelled by the faint hope that the universe might, someday, answer back. That hope has shaped the very identity of our species. We are listeners in a cathedral of silence, seekers in a realm that neither confirms nor denies our curiosity. We build instruments that can hear the birth of black holes, the merging of neutron stars, the death cries of ancient suns. These gravitational waves ripple through space-time itself, tiny shivers in the cosmic fabric that remind us of just how delicate existence is. Still, beneath every new discovery lies the same truth. The universe does not explain itself. It reveals phenomena, not purpose. It gives evidence, not comfort. We are left to translate silence into meaning, like poets trying to read the pauses between stars. There are sounds in space, but not in the way we imagine. The roar of a supernova, the sigh of solar wind, the murmur of plasma waves, all of them ripple through mediums thinner than thought itself. If sound is vibration, then the cosmos is alive with tremors, though none will ever reach our ears. The quiet we perceive is not emptiness, but scale, the vastness diluting all motion into near stillness. If you could place your ear against the universe, you would not hear music. You would hear time breathing, slow, endless, without rhythm or rush. Every civilization that will ever exist, if it endures long enough, must eventually confront this same stillness. The realization that the cosmos does not respond is both humbling and liberating. We may crave a voice in the void, but perhaps the silence is its own form of truth. A talking universe would be a limited one, confined by the languages it chose to speak. A silent universe, however, allows infinite interpretation. It becomes a mirror in which consciousness can see itself reflected. The stillness between galaxies is vast enough to hold every question, every prayer, every echo of wonder. Even entropy, the slow fading of light and order, is part of this quiet design. Stars exhaust their fuel, galaxies drift apart, and the temperature of space approaches absolute zero. The energy that once roared with creation now thins into near-nothingness. It is not death, but peace, the cosmos returning to equilibrium. In its silence, the universe is not indifferent in cruelty. It is indifferent in balance. Every bright thing must one day dim. Every expansion must one day rest. The stillness is not punishment. It is the natural rhythm of existence, the same rhythm that carries us from birth to stillness in our own brief lives. And yet, amid this indifference, something astonishing happens. Life begins to whisper back. On a tiny blue planet orbiting an unremarkable star, awareness arises. Eyes open. Minds wonder. For the first time, the universe becomes aware of its own silence. Through us, it begins to listen to itself. Every scientific discovery, every philosophical reflection is not an interruption of the void, but its continuation in a new form. The universe speaks again, this time through thought, through language, through longing. We are the echo of its quiet patience. Perhaps the universe does not speak because it has no need to. Perhaps it listens. Perhaps the great stillness we interpret as indifference is simply waiting for consciousness to grow enough to understand. Every question we ask, every experiment we perform, is part of that waiting. In our attempts to hear the cosmos, we become its voice, fragile and fleeting, but alive. The universe rarely speaks, but it allows us to speak within it. Its silence is not rejection, it is permission. The invitation to fill the void with curiosity, wonder, and love. And so, when we stare into the night sky and find no answer, we must remember, the silence is not the absence of meaning. It is meaning itself, stretched across the endless dark. The universe may not speak, but it sings, in radiation, in gravity, in the slow unfolding of time. It has always been humming, softly, eternally. The fact that we can listen at all is proof that, in some ineffable way, we were meant to hear it. The cosmos offers no words, yet its quiet is the oldest truth, that patience is not emptiness, and silence is not loneliness. It is the breath of everything that ever was, and everything that will ever be. The act of observing the universe is, in itself, a kind of burden. To look upon the infinite is to confront one's own smallness, to realize that consciousness is both a gift and a wound. Every time we lift our gaze toward the night sky, we awaken an ancient ache, the yearning to belong to something so vast that it could never possibly notice us. The observer's burden is this paradox, to be aware enough to see beauty, but fragile enough to feel its distance. Awareness grants us the ability to marvel, yet it also condemns us to loneliness. The stars do not need to understand themselves to burn. Only we suffer the weight of reflection. From the first time a human looked up and wondered what those lights might be, our species inherited this invisible inheritance, a hunger to know, a restlessness that will not fade. To observe is to be pulled into relationship with the cosmos, one defined not by dialogue, but by awe. The moment we learned that the points of light were not gods or fires in a dome, but other suns, each perhaps with worlds of its own, something in us shifted. The heavens ceased to be a story written for us, and became a mystery we could never fully claim. The universe stopped being a stage and became a mirror, reflecting the strangeness of our own awareness back upon itself. Observation, in its purest form, is an act of intimacy. When photons that have traveled billions of years finally enter our eyes, they are absorbed, transformed into electrical signals, and interpreted as vision. In that instant, ancient light becomes part of our biology. The cosmos does not simply exist out there. It literally enters us, folds into our perception, and is reborn as thought. To observe the universe is to consume it, to let it reshape the architecture of our minds. But this intimacy is one-sided. We absorb the stars, yet they will never know. We record the light, yet the source of that light has long since died. To witness the cosmos is to form attachments to ghosts. And so, the observer carries the weight of time. Every observation is a conversation across ages. The galaxies we see tonight are not as they are now, but as they once were. Our telescopes are time machines, our eyes haunted by the past. To see the universe clearly is to understand that we are always looking backward, that everything we perceive is already gone. Awareness, then, is both clarity and grief. It reveals not only the truth of things, but the distance between truth and the living moment. This is the burden of consciousness, to know what has been, yet never truly touch what is. Philosophers have long wondered if the universe exists in any meaningful way without observation. Quantum theory suggests that at the smallest scales, particles behave differently when watched, as if reality itself responds to awareness. If this is true, if even the tiniest fragment of existence requires observation to take form, then consciousness is not an accident of matter, but a partner in creation. The act of seeing becomes sacred. The observer is not merely a spectator, but a participant in the unfolding of being. Yet this revelation deepens the burden. If reality needs us to look at it, then what happens when we close our eyes? To observe is also to be observed, though perhaps not by eyes we can comprehend. The universe reflects itself endlessly. From black holes that record information on their event horizons to cosmic background radiation that preserves the memory of the Big Bang, the cosmos keeps its own archive. In this sense, nothing is ever truly lost, only transformed. Our thoughts, our atoms, our breath, each is a continuation of that original observation, that first flare of light in the void. We are the universe looking back on itself, briefly illuminated by self-recognition before fading again into the patient dark. The observer's burden, then, is not just intellectual, but emotional. Knowledge isolates. The more we understand about the cosmos, the more we realize how little it requires of us. The Earth could vanish, and the galaxies would continue to spin, unbothered. To grasp this truth is to feel the sharp edge of insignificance. But to stay with that feeling long enough is to find its opposite. Meaning does not come from being central. It comes from being aware. The stars do not need our comprehension, yet they have given us the capacity to wonder. Awareness may be heavy, but it is also luminous, the only light bright enough to see the void without fear. We carry this burden through every scientific instrument and philosophical question. Each discovery we make adds both clarity and melancholy. When we map the cosmic web, detect distant exoplanets, or listen to the whisper of black holes colliding billions of light years away, we are deepening our understanding and our solitude simultaneously. The universe does not grow closer through knowledge. It expands in scale. The more we know, the farther away everything seems. Yet we keep searching, not to escape loneliness, but to transform it into connection. Observation becomes our prayer, our way of saying, we are here too. Perhaps the observer's burden is also the observer's grace. In the quiet of reflection, we begin to sense that loneliness is not a flaw of the cosmos, but a feature, a kind of spiritual gravity that draws us inward. Through the act of seeing, we are reminded that we belong to the very thing that overwhelms us. Every gaze at the night sky is an act of participation, not isolation. The stars do not need to know us for us to feel kinship with them. Awareness is its own communion. To be human is to stand at the edge of infinity and dare to look. We cannot help but bear the burden of knowing, even when it hurts. Yet in that ache lies beauty. We are the brief, conscious flicker that allows the cosmos to know it exists at all. The universe may not speak, but through us, it learns to wonder. The observer's burden, then, is not a weight to be shed. It is a light to be carried. For centuries, humanity has leaned into the darkness and listened. We have raised antennas toward the heavens, stretched metal ears across deserts and mountaintops, and waited, hoping that somewhere, hidden in the static of the cosmos, a voice might answer back. But what we hear, instead, is not a message, it is a memory. The universe speaks in whispers too ancient for words, too vast for meaning. The faint signals that reach us are not conversations, but fossils, relics of energy still drifting through an ever-expanding night. To listen to the cosmos is to press one's ear to eternity and realize that the silence is not empty, it is full of time. The cosmic microwave background hums like a soft, eternal sigh. It is the faint afterglow of creation, a ghostly warmth that pervades all of space, the leftover breath of the Big Bang. Every direction we point our instruments, that same faint radiation greets us, homogeneous, steady, patient. It is the sound of the universe remembering itself. This background is not a song, but it is music of another kind, the resonance of existence in its earliest form. In those microwaves only a few degrees above absolute zero lies the oldest story ever told, one that began 8 billion years ago and never truly stopped speaking. But humanity is not content to listen to echoes of the past. We search for something more immediate, for evidence that somewhere intelligence is speaking now. We scan the skies with arrays of radio telescopes, sifting through infinite frequencies in search of a pattern, a signal, a rhythm that cannot be explained by chance. Programs like SETI, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, listen constantly, harvesting static, translating noise into data, and data into hope. Each faint pulse, each anomaly, each unexplained repetition sends a tremor through our collective imagination. Could this be it? Could someone be out there, sending us a cosmic greeting across the void? So far, the answer has been silence. But that silence has meaning of its own. It is not the silence of neglect, it is the silence of scale. The distances between stars are so vast, the time span so immense, that even if civilizations bloomed across the galaxy like flowers, their signals would take millennia to reach us. And by the time they arrived, both sender and receiver might already be gone. Listening to the cosmos is like standing on a shore at night, calling across an endless ocean, knowing that the echo, if it ever returns, will belong to a world long changed. And yet we keep listening, because the act of listening is, in itself, an act of faith. It is a declaration that the universe is worth waiting for. We build machines that can detect the faintest fluctuations in radio waves, the tiniest distortions in space-time caused by colliding black holes. We capture the light of galaxies, so distant that their photons began their journey before our planet even formed. To listen, in this cosmic sense, is to be humble before time, to accept that we are hearing a universe that no longer exists, and yet continues to echo through us. Every signal carries a story. The rhythmic pulses of pulsars, dead stars spinning with perfect precision, tick like cosmic metronomes, keeping time for galaxies. The magnetic storms of the sun send ripples of plasma that wash over Earth, a reminder that even silence has a pulse. The gravitational waves detected by instruments like LIGO are vibrations in space-time itself, the trembling of a universe under the weight of its own events. These waves are soundless, yet they are music in the deepest sense, vibrations that connect us to collisions billions of light years away. Listening to them is like hearing the heartbeat of creation through the stillness of eternity. Sometimes, the signals we find are deceptive. A flicker of radio noise mistaken for alien contact turns out to be the hum of our own technology, a reflection of ourselves bouncing back from the atmosphere. These false alarms are not failures, they are mirrors. They remind us that, in our quest to find voices among the stars, we are really listening to our own longing. The static we interpret is often the echo of our own need for company. The cosmos becomes a vast recording of human hope, played back through every frequency we explore. The act of listening transforms us. It slows our thinking, expands our perspective, and reminds us how small we are, and yet how capable of wonder. The universe does not speak in sentences or syllables. It speaks in radiation, in gravity, in the gentle unfolding of time. Its voice is a spectrum, not a sound. To hear it, we must learn a new kind of patience, one that stretches beyond lifetimes. When astronomers sit in the glow of control rooms at midnight, watching data stream across screens, they are practicing a form of meditation as ancient as firelight. They are keeping vigil for the unknown. In truth, we may never hear another voice in the dark. The universe may be full of listeners, all waiting, all silent, each too far to reach the others. Yet perhaps that is the point. The act of listening, of reaching into the void without promise of reply, is what connects us. It is how consciousness affirms itself. Every radio wave we send, Every ear we turn toward the sky is a testament to our refusal to accept solitude as the end of a story. The cosmic echoes we chase are reminders that everything, even silence, carries memory. The photons arriving at our detectors tonight began their journey when the first galaxies were young. The signals we send today will outlive us, traveling outward forever, fading but never vanishing completely. We are both the receivers and the transmitters, caught in an endless exchange with the void. The universe may not answer, but it listens through us. And so we continue, tuning our instruments, refining our senses, expanding the reach of our awareness. Not because we expect a reply, but because the act of listening makes us more human. The universe's silence is not a rejection. It is an invitation to participate in its quiet conversation. Every signal we hear, every faint whisper in the static, is the cosmos reminding us that we, too, are part of its music. We are the ears of the infinite, the brief awareness that lets the universe hear itself breathe. In listening, we complete the circle. Numbers have always been our way of taming the infinite. When faced with the unbearable vastness of existence, the human mind reaches instinctively for mathematics, as if by counting, measuring, and naming, we might bring the cosmos a little closer. But numbers, for all their precision, are also poetry. They are the language of solitude disguised as certainty, a way to describe what cannot be touched. The mathematics of the universe is not a cold grid. It is a song of distances, a hymn to separation. In the numbers that define the cosmos, we can hear the quiet rhythm of its loneliness. Consider the scale of things. The Earth orbits the Sun at a distance of 150 million kilometers, a number so large it barely fits inside imagination. The nearest star beyond our Sun, Proxima Centauri, lies over 4 light-years away, 40 trillion kilometers of empty space. A beam of light, traveling at the fastest speed possible, would take over 4 years to cross that distance, while a spacecraft would require tens of thousands of years. These numbers are not just measurements, they are reminders. They tell us that connection, in the cosmic sense, is almost impossible. That every star is a solitary flame burning within its own private night. When astronomers speak of billions, billions of stars, billions of galaxies, they are describing a kind of infinity that overwhelms emotion. The Milky Way alone holds more than 100 billion stars, and each one might have planets of its own. Beyond it lie trillions of other galaxies, stretching outward into a darkness without boundary. The scale is so vast that even imagination begins to tremble. Our numbers give us structure, but they also confess our helplessness. When we say a billion, what we truly mean is beyond my ability to feel. In this way, mathematics becomes the bridge between knowledge and humility. Every equation that describes the cosmos also reveals its solitude. The inverse square law of gravity shows how attraction weakens with distance. Double the separation, and the force drops to 1/4. The farther apart things are, the quieter their pull becomes. It is a law written into the bones of reality, a gentle, mathematical decree that says everything must drift apart. Even Einstein's equations of general relativity, those elegant curves describing spacetime, reveal a universe in motion, expanding relentlessly. The more it grows, the emptier it becomes. The numbers do not lie. Separation is destiny. And yet, in their cold precision, the equations carry a strange tenderness. They describe not despair, but balance. The same mathematics that ensures isolation also creates harmony. The orbits of planets, the spirals of galaxies, the quiet choreography of celestial bodies, all obey patterns so graceful that they seem almost musical. Kepler once called the movement of the planets the music of the spheres, a cosmic symphony written in geometry and time. Each orbit is a note, each revolution a rhythm. The universe, in this sense, is a mathematical meditation, unfolding endlessly in patterns of stillness and motion. Numbers are also memory. Every constant in physics, the speed of light, the charge of the electron, the gravitational constant, anchors us to the universe's deepest truths. They are fingerprints left by creation itself, relics of the moment when energy became matter and space learned to breathe. Even in the cold arithmetic of the cosmos, we find traces of intimacy. To calculate the age of the universe, 13.8 billion years, is to measure the time since everything began, and to realize that we are part of that same timeline, the latest whisper in a story written entirely in numbers. When we describe the distances between galaxies, we are not only describing space, we are describing loneliness. The vast separations are measured in megaparsecs, each one equivalent to over 3 million light-years. Between those units lies mostly nothing, a darkness filled with a faint hum of radiation, the occasional wandering particle, and endless quiet. The mathematics of solitude is elegant and merciless. It defines a cosmos where light takes eons to cross a void, where gravity tugs gently but never enough, where time itself stretches thinner with every heartbeat of expansion. And yet, numbers also remind us that we belong to this system, that our minds, small as they are, were somehow shaped to understand it. The equations that describe galaxies also describe atoms. The symmetry of orbital motion is echoed in the structure of electrons around a nucleus. From the subatomic to the galactic, the same patterns repeat, the same mathematics hums beneath reality. It is as if the universe, in all its loneliness, left traces of coherence, a whisper that says, you are part of this order too. Perhaps that is the secret beauty of mathematics. It allows us to translate emptiness into meaning. Through numbers, we turn the silence of the stars into something we can comprehend. A distance becomes a value. A void becomes a figure. By naming it, we begin to accept it. The mathematics of solitude is not only a scientific pursuit, it is an emotional one. When we measure the distances between things, we are also measuring the boundaries of our longing. Each number is a confession of how far we are willing to reach and how much we yearn to understand. The cosmos will always be indifferent to our calculations. It does not know that we measure it or care that we name its constants. But in doing so, we become aware of ourselves in a new way. We see that our need to count, to categorize, to define is an act of hope, a way of saying that even in the vastness of all things, we can find order, we can find connection. The mathematics of solitude is, in the end, a quiet form of love. It is how the mind reaches into the dark and finds something steady to hold. And so we continue to count the uncountable, to measure what cannot be measured, to calculate the shape of infinity, not because we expect to master it, but because the act itself brings comfort. The numbers remind us that we are part of the same equation, fleeting yet essential variables in the grand formula of being. In the language of mathematics, the universe tells its one enduring truth, that distance and connection, silence and song, are not opposites but partners in the same endless expression. The mathematics of solitude, then, is not a lament. It is a lullaby, a gentle reassurance that even the emptiest spaces hum with pattern, and that even in the vastest silence, something continues to count us. When we speak of dreams, we think of human minds, flickers of consciousness that dance between memory and imagination. But what if the universe itself dreams? What if every galaxy, every pulse of energy, every moment of silence is part of a vast and patient imagination beyond our comprehension? This idea, poetic though it seems, lingers at the edge of science and philosophy alike. When nothing learned to dream, creation began. From the chaos of potential came the quiet architecture of order. From the stillness of the void came the rhythm of existence. The universe, it seems, may be more than matter and law. It may be the unfolding awareness of its own possibility. There was a time when everything that would ever exist was compressed into a single impossible point, smaller than thought, denser than meaning. Then came expansion, energy, and time. The universe opened its eyes, though it had no face. It stretched its limbs, though it had no form. In that awakening, physics and philosophy intertwine. Could such a creation be purely mechanical, or was there something deeper, something like intention? The laws of the cosmos appear finely balanced, as though tuned to allow stars, atoms, and eventually minds to exist. The constants of nature, gravity, electromagnetism, nuclear forces, fall within delicate margins. Too weak, and the cosmos collapses. Too strong, and it never coheres. It is as if the universe dreamt itself into balance, not through purpose, but through patience. Some physicists call it the anthropic principle, the idea that the universe seems tailored for consciousness, because consciousness is here to perceive it. But this raises another mystery. Did the universe evolve minds so that it could know itself? Is awareness an accident? Or is it the culmination of the universe's unfolding dream? In this way, consciousness might not be confined to living beings. It might be the flowering of the cosmos's own self-recognition. Just as a dreamer invents characters who move and think, perhaps the universe imagines through us, using neurons and starlight as its tools, weaving patterns of perception to see itself anew. Even science, in its quiet way, hints at this possibility. Quantum theory teaches that observation affects reality, that particles behave differently when watched. It is as though the act of awareness calls existence into focus, like a painter bringing form to canvas. The wave collapses, the potential becomes actual, the dream becomes real. Perhaps the universe requires consciousness not as an accessory, but as a necessity, a mirror that allows it to take shape. When we look into the night sky, perhaps we are the eyes through which the cosmos confirms it exists. In that sense, we are not separate from the universe's dreaming. We are the dream itself, briefly aware of its own unfolding. But what does it mean for nothing to dream? Before matter, there was potential. Before form, there was energy, a field of infinite possibility. The quantum vacuum, restless and alive, flickers with ephemeral particles appearing and disappearing. Within that uncertainty lies creativity, the pulse of becoming. Nothingness, it seems, was never truly asleep. It was meditating, waiting, storing the momentum of creation. The universe may have been born not from chaos, but from imagination, the silent decision of emptiness to become something more. This is not magic nor myth. It is the physics of potentiality written in the poetry of existence. To think of the universe as a dream is not to deny science, but to extend it into feeling. Every nebula, every orbit, every heartbeat participates in a kind of cosmic thought. Stars burn hydrogen into light just as neurons burn energy into consciousness. Galaxies swirl like patterns of memory, bound by invisible threads of gravity that resemble the synapses of a mind too large to grasp. If our brains are capable of dreaming entire worlds while we sleep, what might the universe itself be dreaming, stretched across the fabric of time? Maybe we are the dream's fleeting symbols, self-aware fragments of a greater imagination exploring its own depth. Ancient philosophies have long suggested such unity. In Hindu cosmology, Brahman dreams the world into existence. In Taoist thought, the universe flows as an expression of the way. In Stoicism, logos, the rational principle, pervades all things. Modern science, though stripped of mythology, circles the same truth in different language. Information is the foundation of reality. Every particle, every event, is a pattern, a bit of data, a note in an unending symphony. To exist is to be processed, computed, remembered. If information underlies all things, then the cosmos itself is a vast mind, one that learns, evolves, and dreams through time. And yet, if the universe dreams, it does so slowly, on a scale so vast that we cannot sense its rhythm. A single heartbeat of the cosmos might span 1 billion years. Stars ignite and die like thoughts. Galaxies collide like passing ideas. Planets form, flourish, and fade like passing imaginings. From the perspective of eternity, these processes are as fluid and transient as the flickers in a human dream. What feels like chaos to us may be coherence to something greater, a slow and elegant unfolding of awareness too large to notice itself all at once. The patience of nothing becoming everything is perhaps the universe's first act of consciousness. To dream requires stillness, and the void provided that in abundance. The quiet before creation was not empty, it was listening. Out of that infinite silence, potential began to murmur. In a sense, the universe did not begin with an explosion, but with a question. What could I become? Every atom, every star, every being since has been an echo of that question. And through our own curiosity, through the trembling of awareness that seeks to understand, the question continues to ask itself. When nothing learned to dream, it gave birth to time, to matter, to meaning. It became the cradle of awareness. We, as fragments of that awakening, are not spectators of the dream, but its continuation. Every act of wonder, every whisper of awe, every scientific discovery and philosophical reflection, these are the dream's way of deepening. The universe dreams not of perfection, but of discovery. It dreams itself through us. And when at last the stars fade and all returns to stillness, perhaps the dream will not end but rest, returning to that same deep silence, to sleep again until the next awakening. The cosmos is patient. It has all of eternity to remember itself. And in this endless cycle of dreaming and forgetting, something miraculous persists, awareness itself, glowing softly against the dark. The void was never void. It was always dreaming, always waiting, always becoming. Patience is not merely the absence of motion. It is the quiet endurance of time itself. The void, that vast and formless expanse stretching between galaxies and within atoms, embodies this patience more perfectly than anything we can name. It does not rush to create, nor mourn what fades. It simply waits. It has waited since before the first star ignited, and it will wait long after the last one cools into ash. This is not the waiting of expectation, but of presence, the stillness that watches all things rise and fall without interference. The patience of the void is the patience of eternity, the unhurried rhythm of existence itself. Everywhere we look, we find this quiet waiting. Between the stars are distances so immense that even light, the swiftest traveler, spends millions of years in solitude. Between atoms lies empty space, where particles move through vastness as though suspended in slow motion. Even in our thoughts, there is space between moments, between one heartbeat and the next. The universe breathes in these pauses, these immeasurable silences. Patience is not something added to the void. It is the void. It is the eternal willingness to let things unfold in their own time. When we speak of the void waiting, we do not mean that it waits for us. The void is not aware in the way we are. It does not anticipate or desire. Its patience is not emotional, but structural, written into the very fabric of reality. Entropy, the slow drift toward disorder, is patience embodied. It is the universe's way of saying, all things will settle eventually. The stars will burn their fuel, the galaxies will disperse, the atoms will quiet, and all motion will ease into stillness. This is not tragedy, it is completion. The void does not destroy, it absorbs. It welcomes every end as part of its ongoing calm. Thermodynamics teaches us that energy cannot be destroyed, only transformed. What burns returns to silence. What radiates eventually cools. Over billions of years, the bright fever of the universe softens. The cosmic background radiation that once blazed at thousands of degrees now whispers at just a few degrees above absolute zero. It continues to fade patiently, imperceptibly, as if returning home to its original quiet. This cooling, this universal relaxation, is the void reclaiming its balance. Creation, in this view, was not a beginning, but a temporary stirring, a breath drawn in the infinite chest of stillness. The patience of the void can be seen even in the smallest things. An electron orbiting a nucleus never tires. It moves within a probability cloud that has no haste. Photons, though born in the heart of stars, travel across millennia without complaint, carrying light that will one day dissolve in darkness. Space does not resist them. It bears them gently, endlessly. The universe is not rushing anywhere. Its expansion is steady, graceful, inevitable. It does not seek a destination. It only unfolds, like a flower blooming in imperceptible slow motion. Perhaps that is why the void feels so tranquil when we imagine it. It is not nothingness, it is peace. A peace beyond comprehension, beyond the need for victory or loss. In the human world, patience is a virtue because it is rare. We are creatures of urgency, chasing meaning through seconds and days. But the cosmos knows nothing of hurry. Its timescales dwarf emotion. To the void, a billion years is a single exhalation. Every movement, every change, is part of an infinite rhythm that has no beginning and no end. And yet, within that patience, miracles happen. Stars are born not because the void commands them to, but because its stillness allows it. Gravity gathers dust and gas, forming spheres of fire that burn for eons. Life emerges on planets where conditions are kind, nurtured by time's generosity. The void gives space for possibility. It is the ultimate listener, the background that makes every note of existence possible. If the universe had been restless, impatient, chaotic without pause, creation could not have taken root. Only stillness makes life possible. Only waiting gives form to becoming. We often fear the idea of nothingness, imagining it as cold, lifeless, final. But what if the void's patience is not indifference, but compassion? What if, instead of erasing, it holds everything that vanishes from our sight, every life, every light, every thought, returns to the void's embrace? In that quiet darkness, nothing is lost, only transformed. Patience, then, becomes a form of eternal forgiveness. The void does not judge the stars for fading. It welcomes their ashes as softly as it welcomed their birth. Even death, when viewed through this lens, loses its sting. To return to the void is not to cease, but to rest. The same atoms that compose our bodies will one day drift through space, perhaps to form new stars, new worlds, new minds. The void's patience ensures continuity. It waits for everything to become something else. It has waited for us to exist, and it will wait for whatever comes after us. There is comfort in that, a serenity that transcends fear. And in the grandest sense, the patience of the void is also the patience of consciousness. Awareness, like the cosmos, expands and contracts. We observe, we fade, we rise again. Our brief lives are moments of illumination in a larger stillness that never ends. Just as the void holds galaxies within its arms, it holds our thoughts, our questions, our longing. It waits not because it must, but because it is timeless. It is the background against which existence draws its fleeting shapes. The void waits so patiently because it has nothing to lose. It was here before time, and it will remain after time is gone. It is not waiting for something to happen. It is the happening, stretched infinitely thin across eternity. Its patience is not passive. It is the foundation of all motion. Everything that ever was, is, or will be, occurs within its stillness. And if there is wisdom in the universe, it lies here, in this endless capacity to endure, to allow, to simply be. When we gaze into the night sky and feel small, we are touching the edge of that patience. The quiet that fills us is not emptiness. It is kinship. We are born from the same stillness, sustained by the same calm, destined to return to it. The void's waiting is not for us to arrive, but for us to remember. To remember that all things, no matter how brief or bright, belong to its infinite rest. The universe's patience is the proof that existence itself is not fleeting, it is eternal, and it waits forever, without hurry, without end. Stars are the fleeting thoughts of the universe, moments of radiance that flare within the dark mind of infinity and then fade, leaving only memory in their wake. They are temporary, delicate, and yet, for a while, they make the cosmos glow with meaning. To look at the stars is to glimpse the universe, thinking, vast, slow, and luminous. Each star, from its fiery birth to its quiet death, is a single sentence in the story of creation, whispered across billions of years. When we observe them, we are reading fragments of a dream too vast to comprehend, a dream in which light is both language and silence. Every star begins the same way, as dust and gas suspended in the void, drifting for millions of years until gravity gathers it into a single point of pressure. There, in the dark womb of space, heat and density build until hydrogen fuses into helium, the first spark of awareness, the ignition of being. That moment of ignition is cosmic thought taking form, the transformation of cold matter into radiant intention. A newborn star floods the surrounding darkness with light, just as a sudden realization floods the mind with clarity. Yet, even at the height of its brilliance, the star is already dying. Its light is the slow exhalation of its own endurance. The lifespan of a star is an act of patience written in fire. Small stars, cool and red, burn gently for trillions of years, steady, content, almost eternal. Giant stars, bright and blue, live fast and perish violently, exploding in supernovas that briefly outshine entire galaxies. Both are part of the same pattern: energy becoming form, form becoming energy again. The cosmos never clings to permanence. It allows its thoughts to evolve, to burn out, to begin anew. What looks like destruction to us is, to the universe, continuation. When a star dies, its ashes seed new stars, new planets, and sometimes life. Death is not an end, but a rearrangement, a revision in the cosmic sentence. If stars are thoughts, then black holes are dreams forgotten, collapsed ideas too heavy to remain open. When a massive star reaches the end of its fuel, gravity pulls it inward until it folds into itself, disappearing behind its own event horizon. From outside, no light escapes, no information returns. Yet, according to physics, nothing truly vanishes. Information is preserved, even if it can no longer be read. Perhaps the black hole is the universe's subconscious, a place where memories sink into silence but continue to exist, reshaped by time and gravity. In their unseen depths, the thoughts of dead stars continue to hum softly, like a melody beyond hearing. The light of stars carries stories older than our species. Every photon that touches our eyes began its journey long before Earth formed oceans or breath. To gaze at the night sky is to see not the present, but a museum of the past. Some of the stars we see tonight no longer exist. Their light is a lingering echo, the memory of something long gone. And yet, that ghostly light still arrives, crossing the endless dark to remind us that even what has ended continues to shine for a while. In this way, the universe teaches us that nothing truly disappears, that beauty and loss can coexist, endlessly intertwined. There is poetry in the idea that stars live, think, and die much like we do. They are born in darkness, they struggle for balance, they burn with purpose, and eventually, they surrender to time. But their lives are not tragedies, they are transformations. When a star dies, it scatters heavy elements, carbon, oxygen, iron, the ingredients of breath and bone. Every atom in our bodies was once forged in a star's core. We are made of cosmic thought condensed into awareness. The universe does not just create stars, it becomes them, thinks through them, and then reassembles itself into new forms. Each of us, in our brief span of consciousness, is another flare of that same stellar mind. And just as thoughts ripple through the human mind, stars ripple through the universe. Their births and deaths send waves of radiation, gravity, and light across billions of light years. A single supernova can trigger the birth of countless new stars, igniting clouds of gas in distant regions. In this way, the cosmos thinks in chains of consequence, one thought giving rise to another endlessly, rhythmically. What we perceive as randomness is perhaps coherence beyond our scale of perception. The stars are not scattered, they are sequenced. They form constellations not only in the sky, but in time itself. Even the emptiness between stars plays a role in this cosmic cognition. The dark matter and dark energy that dominate the universe are the unseen framework, the silent mind in which the stars arise. They provide structure and tension, keeping galaxies bound while driving the expansion of all things. Without that darkness, light would have no context. Just as silence gives meaning to music, the void gives meaning to starlight. The universe, then, is not a chaos of fire, but a symphony of stillness and illumination. each star a note sustained across unimaginable spans of time. From our small planet, these stars appear eternal, but they are not. Their patience exceeds our comprehension, yet even they will fade. In billions of years, the night sky will dim, galaxies will drift apart, stars will exhaust their fuel, and light itself will thin into darkness. The universe's luminous thoughts will grow fewer, quieter, until one day only the faintest embers remain. But even then, the void will wait, not in mourning, but in peace. For it knows that every star was a temporary expression of something far greater, the infinite imagination that gave rise to light in the first place. Perhaps this is why starlight moves us so deeply. When we gaze upward, we are not merely looking at distant suns. We are witnessing the universe thinking through time. Their glow is familiar because it mirrors the spark of awareness within us, the same fragile radiance that burns for a while before returning to quiet. We are starlight remembering itself, brief thoughts in an ancient dream. The stars, fleeting though they are, remind us of a truth beyond despair, that impermanence is not loss, but rhythm. The universe does not fear endings, for every extinguished flame becomes the soil for new fire. The stars are fleeting thoughts, yes, but their fleetingness is their beauty. They are the moments of clarity within eternity's sleep, the pauses between silence and song. To watch them is to remember that everything luminous is temporary, and that this temporariness is the source of meaning. The stars burn because the void allows them to. They fade because the void embraces them. Between those two gestures, the gift of light and the acceptance of darkness, the entire story of existence unfolds. And in that story, we find ourselves, small, bright, and aware, shining briefly within the patient dream of the infinite. The universe is dimming. Slowly, imperceptibly, the lights that once blazed across the cosmic stage are fading. The brilliance of creation, those incandescent furnaces that have burned for billions of years, is giving way to a gentler, quieter night. The slow fade of light is not dramatic, not sudden, but gradual, graceful, and infinite in scale. It is the long exhale of the cosmos, the inevitable cooling after the fever of birth. When we look up at the stars, we are seeing the universe in its middle age, still glowing, still alive, but already on its way toward darkness. This dimming is not a tragedy. It is the natural rhythm of existence. All things that burn must one day rest. From the moment of the Big Bang, light has been the universe's voice. It carried the story of expansion, of creation, of matter awakening from energy. But even from the beginning, that light has been in retreat. As space expands, wavelengths stretch. The photons that once roared through the young cosmos have been elongated into whispers. The cosmic microwave background, once a white-hot blaze, is now a faint glow, cooled to near absolute zero. What began as brilliance has become softness. The universe does not vanish into darkness all at once. It relaxes into it, like a candle's last flicker surrendering to still air. The stars themselves are the authors of this fading. Each one, no matter how grand, is finite. They burn hydrogen into helium, helium into carbon, carbon into heavier elements, until the fuel runs out and gravity takes over. Some die quietly, shrinking into white dwarfs, small, dense remnants that will slowly cool over trillions of years. Others go out violently, exploding in magnificent supernovas, scattering their ashes across the cosmos. In both fates, the story is the same. Light, no matter how radiant, is a temporary language. Every illumination contains within it the promise of its own silence. And yet, there is something profoundly peaceful in this fading. The light does not resist. It does not rage against the dark. It transforms into it. Every dying star releases its energy not as despair, but as generosity. Its final outburst forges the building blocks of new worlds, new life, new awareness. Even in extinction, light creates. The slow fade, then, is not a failure, it is an offering. The cosmos gives itself away in every photon that drifts into infinity. In that surrender lies the most tender expression of patience, the universe has ever shown. As billions of years pass, fewer new stars are born. The raw material for creation, hydrogen and helium, grows scarce, consumed by generations of cosmic fire. Galaxies that once shimmered with millions of suns begin to dim. The Milky Way, too, will someday become a quiet island of dying embers. In the far future, when the last stars have burned out, only faint remnants will remain. White dwarfs fading to black, neutron stars cooling into invisibility, black holes evaporating into radiation. The night sky, once alive with endless light, will return to its original stillness. The universe will not end in chaos or fire, but in serenity. Physicists call this destiny the heat death of the universe, a state of perfect equilibrium where energy is evenly distributed and no work can be done. It is the moment when contrast disappears, no more bright or dark, hot or cold, near or far. Time itself may lose meaning, for without change there can be no before or after. But perhaps this is not death in the way we imagine it. Perhaps it is rest. The cosmos has been expanding, burning, and transforming for eons beyond counting. Eventually, even infinity must pause to breathe. The slow fade of light is the universe's return to its original stillness, its long-awaited exhalation into peace. And yet, within that eventual darkness, traces of light will endure. Photons, though stretched and weakened, never truly vanish. They continue to travel endlessly through the widening fabric of space. Every glimmer that has ever existed, every starlight, every sunrise, every fire's warmth, still moves outward, diffused but eternal. The light that left our sun today will wander for billions of years, touching distant corners of the cosmos long after we are gone. In this way, light becomes memory, the universe's way of remembering itself. Even as it fades, it preserves the echo of what once was. There is a strange comfort in knowing that everything luminous is temporary. The stars' decline mirrors our own mortality, our own brief flashes of awareness in the dark. But impermanence does not mean insignificance. If anything, it gives meaning to existence. The stars shine precisely because they cannot shine forever. Their brilliance is borrowed, fleeting, precious. The slow fade of light is a reminder that all beauty is transient, and that transience is what makes it beautiful. Eternity without change would be unbearable silence. It is the flicker of endings that gives the cosmos its heartbeat. Even now, amid our short lives, we can sense this rhythm. The sun sets each evening, only to rise again. Candles burn down to wax. The seasons turn. Every moment of darkness is followed by rebirth, by renewal, by the continuation of the great cycle. The fading of light, whether in a single flame or an entire galaxy, is never truly loss. It is transition, one form of being becoming another. The universe, in its patience, teaches us that endings are not failures, but fulfillments. And so, as the cosmic lights dim across incomprehensible ages, we might imagine the void not as emptiness, but as an audience applauding softly at the end of a performance. The stars have danced their dance, the galaxies have spun their story, and now the curtain falls with quiet grace. The stage does not vanish, it simply rests, waiting for whatever new act may one day emerge. Perhaps, after enough silence, the void will stir again, and light will rise once more, another thought in the infinite mind, another dawn in the endless dream. Until then, the slow fade of light is the universe's lullaby, a gentle unwinding of brilliance into peace. The same darkness that once gave birth to stars will cradle their memory. And as light dissolves back into stillness, it will not be forgotten. It will become part of the fabric of everything, the soft hum beneath existence, the eternal breath of patience that never ends. The light will fade, yes, but it will also endure, in us, in memory, in the silent awareness that bears witness to it. For the universe itself, even as it darkens, remains awake. It waits, not in despair, but in quiet wonder. It waits for the next spark. It waits endlessly for itself. Every time we look at the night sky, we are not seeing the present. We are seeing the past. Each faint point of light is a fossil of time, a message sent long ago across the dark sea of the cosmos. The light from the nearest star takes more than 4 years to reach us. The glow from distant galaxies travels for millions, even billions, of years before touching our eyes. The universe, in this way, is a vast museum of light, every photon a relic, every gleam a preserved memory. When we gaze upward, we are surrounded not by what is, but by what was. The stars are ancient storytellers, and light is the language in which time confides its secrets. Light does not simply illuminate space, it records it. Every beam that escapes a star carries within it the conditions of its birth, the age of its source, the imprint of all that it passed on its journey. Photons are messengers of history, traveling through billions of years without rest or aging. When they reach us, they deliver fragments of cosmic memory, the formation of galaxies, the explosions of suns, the first faint whispers of matter gathering into form. In this sense, the universe itself is a living archive, with light as its librarian. The fossil of time is not buried in stone, but scattered across the heavens, drifting silently toward those who know how to listen. And we, small as we are, have become its interpreters. Through telescopes, we learn to read the past encoded in light, to measure the speed at which galaxies recede, to calculate the age of the universe, to reconstruct the moments that gave rise to everything we know. When astronomers speak of seeing 13 billion light years away, what they truly mean is that we are looking back 13 billion years in time. The faint red-shifted glow that reaches us from those depths is the echo of creation itself, stretched thin by the expanding fabric of space. We are witnessing the afterimage of the first dawn, still traveling through darkness. The fossil of time is everywhere, even within us. The atoms in our bodies carry the memory of ancient stars that lived and died long before the earth was born. The calcium in our bones, the iron in our blood, the oxygen in our breath, all were forged in stellar hearts that exploded eons ago. We are, quite literally, made of light that forgot it was light. Each element is a record of a past event, a preserved chapter of cosmic history rewritten into form. Time does not only exist outside us, it lives within our very cells. We are walking relics of the universe's memory, fragments of its ongoing remembrance of itself. There is an exquisite melancholy in this realization. Every sight we take in, the glow of a star, the shimmer of a nebula, has already ended. We are always arriving late to the universe's performances, watching reruns of events that have long since passed into silence. And yet, there is beauty in this delay. It means that nothing truly disappears. Even as stars die, their light continues to travel. Their stories continue to unfold. The cosmos remembers everything, even the things that no longer exist. Time may move forward, but its echoes fill every corner of space. This endurance of memory is both scientific and spiritual. Physicists tell us that information cannot be destroyed. It can only change form. The light that leaves a star remains part of the universe's tapestry forever, even if stretched thin by distance. Philosophers might say the same of experience, that every thought, every action, every life leaves an imprint somewhere, however faint. The fossil of time is not only a record of events, but of meaning. The universe keeps its own journal, written not in ink, but in illumination. If we could see the sky as it truly is, not as it appears now, but as it exists across time, we would witness a grand panorama of becoming and vanishing. Galaxies forming, stars colliding, worlds born and extinguished. Every point of light we see is a different moment frozen in transit, a reminder that the universe is not simultaneous, but layered, an eternal palimpsest of overlapping pasts. The present moment, as we perceive it, is merely the place where those rivers of ancient light converge. We stand at the intersection of infinities, where countless histories arrive together to form the illusion of now. In this way, time itself is an artist of memory. It sculpts the universe with delay, giving meaning to what might otherwise be fleeting. Without the fossil of light, the past would vanish utterly, leaving no trace of its beauty or struggle. But the cosmos refuses to forget. It holds on not sentimentally, but naturally. Memory in the universe is not choice, it is law. Energy cannot vanish, light cannot die. The fossil of time is the guarantee that every act of existence, no matter how brief, leaves an impression somewhere, rippling through eternity. When we look up at the stars, we are also looking inward. Our minds, too, are made of fossils, layers of memory, moments preserved in the fabric of thought. Just as the cosmos remembers through light, we remember through emotion, sensation, reflection. Our personal pasts are smaller, but they operate by the same principle. To live is to accumulate the fossils of time, to collect flashes of light and shadow, and weave them into identity. We, too, are archives of what has been. Our dreams, our grief, our wonder, all are echoes of experiences still traveling within us. Perhaps that is why the night sky feels so deeply human. We sense, in its distance, the same longing that lives in memory, the ache of what is gone, yet still somehow present. The fossil of time is not cold. It glows softly with continuity. Every beam of starlight is a reminder that existence does not truly end. It transforms, it travels, it waits to be seen. The universe's memory is infinite, and we are among its keepers. And when the last stars fade, when light itself grows thin, perhaps the record will remain still, not as illumination, but as pattern, as resonance, as the quiet hum of everything that ever was. Time will have folded its fossils into the deeper layers of being, where even silence remembers. For memory, like light, does not need eyes to endure. The fossil of time is the universe's promise that nothing is ever truly lost, only translated into another form of waiting, another form of light. There will come a time when time itself begins to slow, when the very rhythm that once pulsed through the cosmos fades into stillness. The universe, vast and tireless, will grow old. Galaxies will drift too far apart to see one another, their light stretched beyond visibility by endless expansion. Stars will die, black holes will evaporate, and even the last particles of matter will decay. The story of existence will quiet, not with a bang, but with a sigh. When time forgets itself, the universe will no longer happen. It will simply be. It will no longer measure moments, for there will be nothing left to change. What we call the end will not be destruction, but equilibrium. A final pause so complete that it no longer recognizes itself as time. In this distant era, the cosmic clock will no longer tick. Time, as we know it, is a record of transformation, the measure of difference between what was and what is. But when every motion ceases, when energy and matter are spread evenly across infinite space, there will be no more difference to mark. Every second will be identical to the next. The universe will no longer age. It will simply persist. Physicists call this state the heat death, the point at which entropy reaches its maximum and all gradients vanish. But death is a human word, carrying human sorrow. To the universe, this is not death, it is rest. It is the stillness at the heart of being, the moment when the river of time finds its ocean and dissolves into peace. Imagine this far future, a cosmos without stars, without light, without warmth. The galaxies that once glittered like jewels have long since faded into invisibility. The night sky, once alive with motion, has become an unbroken field of shadow. Yet even here, something persists. Space continues to expand, not rapidly, but eternally. Photons stretch thinner, their energy weakening until they are indistinguishable from the quiet they travel through. Matter itself begins to unravel, protons decaying into radiation, until even the idea of substance loses meaning. The scaffolding of existence unweaves, thread by thread, until only silence remains. But it is not an empty silence. It is the most complete silence imaginable, one that holds everything that ever was. In that final stillness, time no longer flows, it hovers. Without change, the arrow of time has no direction. The past, present, and future blur into a single timeless now, a state beyond our understanding. Perhaps this is the true face of eternity, not endless duration, but the absence of duration altogether. Time is the heartbeat of difference. When that heartbeat ends, what remains is the infinite moment before the next pulse. The universe will not end. It will become endless in a different way. It will no longer measure itself, no longer need to. The concept of before and after will dissolve, leaving only presence, still unbroken, complete. Philosophers and physicists alike wonder what this means. If time ends, does consciousness end with it? Can awareness exist without motion, without contrast, without sequence? Some suggest that consciousness, too, will dissolve, that it is a temporary pattern, a brief flicker of organization in an ocean of entropy. Others imagine something subtler, that when time forgets itself, consciousness may become everywhere. No longer bound by causality or decay, awareness could return to its source, diffused throughout the stillness like light spread evenly across infinity. Perhaps this is what mystics have called the return to the One, the dissolution of individuality into universal calm. If this is true, then the end of time is not an extinction, but a homecoming. The universe began as perfect stillness disturbed by creation's first tremor. It will end as that tremor subsides back into stillness. The circle will close, not in ruin, but in balance. The same silence that existed before the first atom will return, carrying within it the memory of every star, every life, every moment that ever was. Nothing will be lost. Everything will be integrated, merged into a symmetry so perfect that it no longer knows itself as anything but peace. In this future, even the black holes, once the great engines of cosmic gravity, will fade away. They will slowly leak radiation into the void, evaporating into nothing. But their nothing is not erasure. It is continuation. Information, according to quantum theory, cannot be destroyed. It changes form, hides in new arrangements, whispers in faint ripples across space. The universe will still remember itself, though there will be no eyes left to see, no minds left to recall. The memory of existence will be etched into the geometry of space-time itself, silent, infinite, unchanging. It is tempting to see this future as lonely, but perhaps loneliness only exists within time. Without time, there is no waiting, no separation, no distance between moments. All things become one long breath of stillness. The end of time, then, might be the fulfillment of unity, the moment when the universe no longer dreams of becoming, because it is. Every flicker of life, every star that burned, every consciousness that wondered why, all will have returned to the same ocean of calm that preceded the first dawn. The story of everything will not vanish. It will be absorbed into eternity's silence, like ink diffused into water, until the whole becomes one continuous hue. And in that endless quiet, something beautiful may persist, not as sound, not as light, but as the faint echo of harmony. The equations that govern the universe, the patterns that held galaxies together, the constants that shaped existence, they will still be there, latent, asleep, potential. The structure of being will remain, waiting without urgency. For though time forgets itself, the laws of existence do not die. They rest, like a symphony's final note held in eternal suspension. When time forgets itself, perhaps it is not the end of the story, but the moment before a new one begins, the pause between inhalation and exhalation. Just as silence gives birth to sound, perhaps stillness gives birth to time once again. The universe may sleep, but dreams do not perish. Somewhere in the deep calm of nothingness, another fluctuation could arise, a new ripple, a new beginning, another spark of awareness. In that way, eternity might not be linear at all, but cyclical, an endless rhythm of forgetting and remembering, of sleep and awakening. And if that is so, then we too are part of that rhythm. Our consciousness, our brief spark of awareness, is one beat in the great pulse of being. We are the universe remembering itself for a while, only to rest and dream again. When time forgets itself, it does not erase what has been. It absorbs it into a peace beyond language. The end is not the opposite of life. It is its completion. It is the moment when every motion finally understands the meaning of stillness, and every flicker of light returns to the darkness that was never its enemy, but its origin. In that final silence, where time forgets to pass and space forgets to stretch, everything will rest. The universe will no longer chase itself across dimensions or measure itself in change. It will simply exist, serene, whole, and unending. And though we will not be there to witness it, we are already part of it. We are its memory, its momentary rhythm, its brief awareness. When time forgets itself, we will not be lost. We will be home, dissolved into the infinite, resting within the quiet heart of everything that ever was and ever will be. Hope is the soft machinery of the cosmos, the quiet mechanism that turns despair into endurance, that converts the vast indifference of the universe into something bearable, even beautiful. It is not loud or triumphant. It does not march or conquer. It hums quietly beneath everything, like the background pulse of existence itself. Hope moves slowly, like gravity, pulling all living things toward meaning. In the endless night of space, it is the faint, persistent light that refuses to go out. It is the warmth of thought in a cold infinity, the whisper of possibility that lingers long after every reason has vanished. The universe may not promise comfort, yet through hope we build our own constellations within the dark. From the beginning, life has been an act of defiance against silence. The first spark of awareness, born in a sea of entropy, was an expression of hope, the belief that something could persist, even briefly, against the inevitable drift toward stillness. The first cell that divided, the first creature that reached toward warmth, the first human who looked at the stars and felt awe, all were guided by this quiet, invisible force. To live is to hope, even when we do not name it. The cosmos leans toward rest, but life leans back, not to overcome it, but to dance with it. Hope is the rhythm of that dance, the motion that continues even when music fades. Hope, like gravity, connects all things. It draws hearts together across distance, binds generations through memory, and carries civilizations through darkness. It is the thread that runs through every story we tell, the unspoken energy behind every dream. When humanity sends its fragile probes into the deep, carrying golden discs inscribed with the sounds of our world, we are not just exploring. We are reaching out in hope. We are saying to the universe, we were here. We saw the light. We wanted to share it. Even if no one ever hears that message, the act itself is enough. Hope does not depend on reply. It exists in the reaching. There is a humility to hope, a soft strength that asks for nothing but the chance to continue. It does not demand eternity. It cherishes the temporary. The stars will fade, galaxies will scatter, and even memory will thin into silence. But hope endures because it does not resist endings. It transforms with them. In that transformation lies the secret of survival. The universe teaches this truth again and again. What collapses gives rise to what begins. A dying star becomes the seed of new worlds. A falling leaf nourishes the soil that births new life. Every ending is a rearrangement, not an erasure. Hope is the quiet understanding of that pattern. In our small span of time, we too become part of that machinery. Every act of kindness, every curiosity, every creation is a cog that keeps it turning. When we build art or share love or ask questions of a night, we are maintaining the cosmic rhythm, the same rhythm that began when hydrogen first learned to shine. Hope is not only emotional, it is elemental. It is the energy that keeps consciousness burning when reason falters. It is the unseen symmetry that links a human heart to the pulse of stars. And when we look beyond ourselves, beyond the planet, beyond the centuries, we see that hope is the one inheritance that will always belong to life, however brief. It does not need to win. It only needs to try. The universe may seem patient and silent, but through us, it has found a way to speak, not in words, but in the persistence of wonder. Every time we create meaning where there was none, the void listens and softly changes. Hope is the echo of that change, the proof that awareness leaves a trace. So when the stars dim and the galaxies grow apart, when even time begins to slow, something of us will remain. Not our bodies, not our cities, but the intention behind them. The will to seek, to build, to love, to understand. The soft machinery of hope will keep turning quietly, endlessly, beneath whatever form the universe takes next. It is not bound by time or by flesh. It is woven into the structure of being itself. And perhaps that is the final truth, that the void is not waiting for us, but with us. It does not mourn, because it knows that within its silence, the possibility of light never ends. Hope is the heartbeat that persists even when all else has gone still, the breath that passes through the dark and carries the memory of stars. And as long as there is awareness, however faint, however fleeting, that machinery will continue to turn. The universe will keep dreaming through us, and when we are gone, it will dream again. The loneliness of space, then, was never emptiness at all. It was the universe preparing for company. It was the patient waiting of infinity for the moment consciousness would open its eyes and whisper back, "I see you." And that whisper, quiet, fragile, full of wonder, is enough. It is hope. It is light. It is the sound of the cosmos remembering itself, softly, forever.